It's Martin Show. It's Tuesday night. A little bit of a different schedule this week because of Thanksgiving. Join us in a moment, David Whitley from the Gainesville Sun, along with our cast of characters, including Lauren Meadows from Gator Bait, with the Gator Bait trivia from Spurrier's Grind Grill. We'll have a short visit with Kyle, who's back from over in Germany, and David Moulton, normally heard on Wednesday nights, will join us here on the program tonight. Busy show. Let's kick it off. Tell your friends and neighbors. The Buddy Martin Show is on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program on Thanksgiving Week Tuesday. Hope you and your family's doing well. They're probably traveling, or you are. If so, be careful out there. Going to hear from our friend Jeffrey Malden in just a minute about that. Take care. It's dangerous out there right now. The program is called The Buddy Martin Show. Tonight on the program, we've got a little different schedule. Our Tuesday night featured guest, David Moulton, will be here tonight because of the holiday. And we'll have David Whitley from the Gainesville Sun. Lauren will be dropping by momentarily with his trivia question. And we'll have a visit from Kyle. Kyle will drop in as well. So listen up for that. Coming your way in just a minute. All right, stand by. David Whitley's in the orange and blue room. We'll talk to him next. But first, this message from Jeff Cardoza.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. Tonight on the program, we'll visit a number of things and people, but first and foremost, it's Tuesday. It wasn't there a movie called this? It's Tuesday. It must be David Whitley. I think that's what it's called. He's back with us tonight. Oh, maybe that must be Belgium. I got it confused. Well, there you go. It's the World Cup stuff got me all mixed up. I'm sure that's it. I know David's been been glued to his TV watching that World Cup these last 40 years. Hey, big upsets, pal. You want to talk World Cup? I'm ready. Bring it.
No. But thank you for offering.
Okay.
I did see that Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, which I guess is like the biggest upset in World Cup history.
See, there you go. Now, you knew that.
Yeah.
You knew.
That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge on that.
Well, I do know they had Messi in Australia, who was obviously maybe the greatest player. And then on top of that, I think, I don't believe Saudi Arabia had ever won a game in the World Cup competition. And didn't Messi's team, didn't Argentina have like a 36-game winning streak or something? Whatever it was, or something like that. But.
I attribute it probably Saudi Arabia's rise to Greg Norman stealing a bunch of players from another tour.
Only you can come up with that with your wacko mind, David. That's why I love it. Good to talk to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Well, back at you, and all the viewers from coast to coast.
Yes, sir. Remember that? Worldwide radio, coast to coast. David, let's get the Vanderbilt stuff out of the way so we can have a nice Thanksgiving week, okay? And then we'll talk about Thanksgiving, your favorite dish, etc. Maybe a little bit about football, coaches, whatever. So, yeah, I read some of your piece on Vanderbilt. I think you had the exact same approach I did, a step backwards. and it's not easy to swallow because it's not just losing a football game. I tried to write it this way. I don't know what I did. You're much better at this, but I said it seems to me that Billy Napier had his team going the right direction, right up the road, and ready to make a turn into a finish of the season that could be defining of the program. And we got fooled. He had his blinker light on, but they never made the turn.
Yeah, they made a U-turn.
They certainly did.
In Nashville. Yeah, it's funny. At the start of the year, when you were checking games, checking games and lose. There were a lot of toss-up games, but nobody had this as a toss-up game. You know, I mean, it's just the way it is. That's the way life has always been. When you see Vandy, you just put a W next to it.
Yeah. You know that show. Excuse me for interrupting you. The college football show. That guy Bear that picks games. He took Vandy into points, and then during the show, I happened to hear him say, "Well, Bear picked him." He said, "No, I didn't pick him. I just took the points." He should have stuck with picking him because somebody could have made an awful lot of money. You know, it's a really good way for Vandy when they get fined $250,000 for storming the field.
Yeah, that to me is the most preposterous thing in SEC history because they were fined $150,000 more than Tennessee was for that jailbreak that they had after the Bama game, and it's all based on repeat offenses dating back to I guess 2004 when they started the thing. First offense is 50,000, second is 100, third is 250. But I was surprised Vandy had two offenses before now. It must have been for basketball, way back when. But
they did have a basketball, as I recall. Yes.
Yeah. But
and they should have actually, David. They should have paid him $250. That's what they should have done.
That's what I mean. If that was, what it reminded me, because there were maybe, it looked like a couple thousand students just orderly defiled onto the field and milled around.
Stormed the field. That's a storming.
Yeah. It reminded me of like when you used to drive. Well, maybe you still do, driving through Waldo, where if you drive, it's 25 miles an hour. If you drove 25 miles and 1/100th of a mile per hour, immediately you'd be descended on by police. So it was like SEC set a speed trap for him.
I had the all-time story about that, not to top you, but the fact is I was driving through Waldo, as I did many times, and a guy in front of me got pulled. I thought, I'm home free now. I was going, I passed him, went on out the block, and the guy came up and got me too. He pulled two at one time. Only in Waldo could that happen, right? Unbelievable.
I guess AAA had them nailed as like the worst speed trap in America for years. I think they retired the crown.
I think they did too, and I often wonder why they did this, and the county didn't step in and do so. They finally did get rid of the joker over there, whatever. Well, David, just a final thing about this football team. No sense in replaying the game. We've kind of done that, but it occurred to me that this could very well be Anthony Richardson's last regular season game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sad in a way to think about what might have been, And so as I write my column this week, wishing him a goodbye, thinking about what might have been, I guess there's a teeny tiny opening. But I can't see how he'd come back, although I've been wishing for it, because I'd like to see him with a good team. And I don't know how much first-round draft choices get. Like I don't know what a quarterback gets drafted at 20th gets. I'll have to take a guess. And I guess it'll be probably a multiple-year deal. What do you think? Yeah. Probably 4 or $5 million a year at least, right? Probably.
Yeah, it's pretty well slotted, and regardless of what position you play. And I think I read where like the last pick in the first round last year, once all the stuff was, he got like $7 million.
A year or for the whole?
Yeah, no, for his con, not a year, but for like a 3-year deal for $7 million.
Yeah, I think it would be higher than that. So let's just say probably $20 million, probably.
Well, whatever it is, it is more than what any unless some Elon Musk comes in and becomes a bull gamer.
Yeah,
it's more than an NIL deal. It's more than he's going to make here.
Yeah.
So, from a financial standpoint, and we sort of broached the topic with him Monday when he was in,
Yep.
joking,
Yep.
and he did say something. It's I don't recall the exact words, but he said, you got to think of it, maybe sometimes be selfish. I don't think it. I don't think it'd be selfish if he took a deal that was going to make him $20 million. I think that's just being a realist in this world. If suddenly, if somebody says, "Look here, sign here," and you're set for the rest of your life, and your kids will be set for the rest of life, I don't think you're a selfish person for taking that. But as you said, it is unfortunate because he good or bad, he's always worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
He's just a highlight reel, a low light reel, but either way, when he has the ball in his hands, you don't look somewhere else when he's on the field.
I'd like to see there's a lottery going on now about who'll be the quarterback next year, and I'll probably write something about this week. You start obviously with Kitna and Miller, see what they got there, but the hot name now is Sam Hartman. That name is being kicked around by a lot of people. The quarterback for Wake Forest. I don't know if he's got 1 or 2 years left. I wrote a friend of mine today a text. He said he thought he had 1 COVID year left. I'm hearing from really good sources that Florida's interested in him and he's interested in Florida. So I guess he would be here for a year or whatever. So they got to make preparations as if Anthony's going to leave.
Oh yeah, and they'd be foolish not to be interested in a proven commodity like that because Kidna, he looks like a nice prospect, but he really hasn't done anything. Miller has just been just a complete mystery. How he's supposed to be back after 2 games, and now we're game 12, and he's still. So I don't think we'll be seeing him. But I think one thing we've learned in this first year is how much a team can transform itself through the portal, and I'm still I'm still trying to get rid of that old school thought that you're bringing a lot of transfers. It shows a weakness somewhere. I think we've really just entered a new age where if you get a Sam Hartman for a year, you take it, and then you get another one, and it's just going to be a revolving door. But you get the best guy out there, and if you're Sam Hartman, you're thinking, all right, I've done about all. And I'm sure he loves Wake, and he's done all. But he's figuring, I've ridden this horse as far as it's going to go. Why don't I, get the word out there, go on the open market, see what I can get, and go play somewhere for a year, and make a good
praise. And by the way, it worked pretty well for Michigan State last year.
Right.
Their coach got a new $10 million contract. They're not very good this year. It's worked well for USC, who suddenly now has a shot to get in the Final Four. I read today or heard they had 19 people from the portal, and got a heck of a quarterback too going on who might win the Heisman Trophy. So I guess it's the new world and order that we're in, and that's what's going to have to be. And I'm certainly sure that Billy Napier will be active in the portal this year.
Yeah.
If I can real quick, David, let me just mention to people checking in real fast about the schedule this week, by the way. And thanks to David for being on the program tonight. We've got a little different lineup. Tomorrow night we'll have our normal Thursday night show, which is the Gator Collective Corner, and we'll have both Ben Troop and Fran Spirit on that program. Then there will be obviously no show Thursday night because of a holiday, and then of course Friday night is the game. We'll have our weekend show, Orange and Blue Bloods. And then we're going to make an announcement here on Friday, Brendan Martin and myself. Pretty significant to all our readers at Gator Base. So some stuff going on there. David, talk about Thanksgiving. What's on your plate? What are you looking at? And what do you like the most on Thanksgiving Day?
I've always had a soft spot for sweet potato pie. But it's more like dessert than my wife's making. It's got more top that it's actually sweeter than dessert, and that's good. But am I wrong to think that why do you only serve turkey twice a year? Christmas, Christmas and Thanksgiving usually. Rarely do you see it another time because I hate to be anti-holiday, but I'm just not a big turkey. Never, I'll
No?
eat it twice a year. But have you ever? I mean, I think I may have ordered it once in my life
Really?
in a restaurant.
I used to order it quite regularly on a sandwich every now and then, but it wasn't got
Yeah.
tryptamine or something that makes you sleepy.
Yeah, it makes you,
supposedly.
well, it's either tryptamine or the Detroit Lions that make you sleepy year after year.
Both, exactly. And you can't beat a good turkey sandwich. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you're
really-
right. Turkey sandwiches are great.
yeah.
It's weird. Just very rarely do you see somebody eating turkey, if it's not a holiday.
Yeah.
And,
What's your go-to dessert? Is it sweet potato pie? Is that it?
well, that's like a dessert. My wife swears it's a vegetable, which I sort of like. But I'm a pecan pie with a la mode.
I love my pecan pie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat that. And then so just go lie on the couch, unloosen the belt, and let the tryptamine kick in.
Yeah.
And away you go. It is going to be unusual. I'm sort of looking forward to it. That heading to Tallahassee on Friday.
Yes.
And I there's been a lot of give and take and debate on whether is it a good move, bad move, blah blah blah. I think from a exposure standpoint, it's good because obviously they'll have the national stage to themselves. Of course, you got to take advantage of it. You don't want to go out there and get your doors blown off in front of the nation. But I sort of like the fact that, hey, wake up Saturday, the day that slate is clear. Don't have to worry about getting to a game. I don't know if I've sat through an Ohio State Michigan game, except for I think I covered one once. That's the only time I've ever actually been through a whole one because it's all your mind is always on the Florida FSU tilt.
Yeah, it is the game of the year, Ohio State and Michigan, and everybody likes Ohio State, and based on the fact their schedule is much better than Michigan, who doesn't have that many quality wins on their schedule. But Ohio State, I wasn't impressed. I watched them against Maryland, and I guarantee you that C.J. Stroud dropped a few notches in the Heisman balloting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a Heisman voter or not. You probably are. But I've had a little difficulty sorting mine out. Shane's been all over me about this. And, he keeps talking about some of the obvious ones like Caleb Williams and Drake May. But I say to you, I haven't seen those guys as much. I don't watch the ACC. I know Drake May's had some impressive numbers. And I know I did see Caleb Williams against UCLA, and right now he probably would be my front runner. But I don't like to vote for a guy I've only seen play once or twice, And certainly, and Stroud kind of took his name out of it there. A few other guys dropped out as well. So Bryce Young still's on my list. I think it's going to be defined by what they do this weekend. What do you think, David? Who you got on your list?
Oh, I'm the same way. I mean, I've just I'm glad they don't have early voting in Heisman as opposed to politics.
Yeah,
because
really.
You're foolish. You have to wait until the last minute because Stroud, he came in as just by default one of the top guys, but I mean he's had a good year, but and he's by no means off my list, but he needs to have a great game Saturday to convince me he's got it. But he might have that. You're right, Caleb. I haven't seen. Obviously, he's doing well out there at SC. If he has a big game against Notre Dame, I mean Notre Dame, that's a quality, a really quality opponent.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't. But you're right. I mean, I haven't seen a cooler quarterback and a guy better under pressure though than Bryce Young. I mean, what the way he's bailed them out. I mean, you take him out of that lineup. I think you're looking at a 7-4 Bama team.
Yeah, and yet you got a team that really is only just a few plays away from being undefeated and being in the Final Four.
4 points away.
And he was injured. Yeah. So I'd like to see that wow factor. When I'm voting for a guy, I want to have him to have a Heisman moment. And not that many guys have had those kind of moments that I've seen. But again, it might be my limited TV schedule. I don't watch the ACC that much. I really haven't paid much attention to Drake May. I hear great things about him. I certainly haven't watched Blake Corum from Michigan other than a couple of handoffs. So there's nobody that blows me away, And Georgia's got some good players, and there's some guys in there that you could make a case for. But
Yeah,
I don't.
I was being more open minded to May, but then they lost this past Saturday,
Right.
and
Changes.
that sort of makes it tough to vote for him. Corum, Corum's the kind of guy. If he goes out and has a great game at Ohio, at the shoe on Saturday, then he could get right. It's really, I can't recall where it's been quite this wide open. With,
This late.
Not just two guys, but there's 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, it could be in there.
A Heisman kind of moment, like you said, because I can't think of any. The closest thing I think to a Heisman moment this year was when Des Watson did the stiff arm Heisman move when he stripped that ball.
What a wonderful story, wasn't it? Really a wonderful story. That was a lot of fun. So, all right. So, how good are you at trivia? You any good?
Oh, it all depends on the topic.
Well, Spurrier, let me play this
Okay.
promo, and then I'll give you a trivia question. Stand by.
This is Lauren Meadows with Gator Bait Media, bringing to you a new special treat that we're going to have for you guys. Every Tuesday, I'm going to ask a trivia question from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Who will be the first to get it? If you are, you'll be in line for great prizes every month. We'll enter you into a drawing, and we'll see who's top in trivia. I'll do my best to stump you guys every single week from right here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. For Gator Bait Media, this is Lauren Meadows. We'll see you inside.
All right, now, David, here's your question. All right, stand by.
Okay.
Lauren Meadows with Gator Bait Media here, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with Tuesday Night Trivia. Coach Steve Spurrier had a wonderful record in the swamp in his 12 years as Florida's football head coach. How many total losses did Steve Spurrier suffer in the famed swamp? Be the first to answer, and you'll be entered into the monthly drawing for a gift certificate of up to $50 at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. With Gator Bait Media, this is Lauren Meadows. Good luck.
All right, don't answer it yet, but you get the idea. This guy didn't lose many games, obviously. And matter of fact, we've got Lauren right here. Let's bring him in. And since you're not eligible actually to win, David, you can help coach somebody, okay? You want to help coach somebody? Let's see. Say good evening to Lauren Meadows right there. David Whitley.
Hello, Lauren.
How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good to see you.
All's good.
Lauren's got a good gig. He goes out there and eats bonbons and drinks Cokes at Spurrier's and calls it working. That's how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of all these questions are about Spurrier. You got a bunch of those. David, I know you've been out there. I think it's a wonderful place to go if you drink a glass of water, which I'm sure Freddie we would prefer you didn't. But what a place that is, Lauren, and it's been a spectacular setting and beyond anything I think anybody expected.
Oh yeah, I mean it was. I was there tonight. It was packed. People coming in and out. Different things going on. Coach Spurrier was supposed to show up tonight, and kind of had to change the plans at the last minute. But it was still people at the bar, people kind of hanging out, looking at all the memorabilia, and it really is nice as far as the, just it's almost like a museum in itself, and the food is excellent. Service is even better, and it's a real nice atmosphere out there at Celebration Point. Anybody that hadn't been there or comes into town for any kind of sporting event, I definitely recommend it.
And Lauren doesn't get paid to say that either, but just so you know. Hey, listen, we're already getting the answers in here, and I'll let David coach them up a little bit after this. Here's some of the answers, all right? Kenny Green, first in, says 4. Jesse Caldron says 3. Michael Burton says 6. Eric Newton says 5. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6. And Dan Bond, who I think was one of the winners last time, says, I know, but I'll be quiet. Toby C. Parmenter says 5. Let's see. Kenny Green, you can only have one guess, Ken. You can't guess 2 or 3. All right, so there's a number. What do you think, David? Who's closest?
I don't recall that. I think it's 5.
All right.
That's my quasi-educated guess.
So if you're correct, the winner is going to be Eric Newton, the first one to say 5. So let's go to the I want to give you some fanfare or something here. Let's see what we got here.
Drum roll. That'll do it.
I don't have a drum roll. So,
Yeah.
all right, Lauren. Well, who's correct?
That would be Eric Newton. 5 losses in 12 years.
All right. That's a pretty good record, right? Small.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Could you have a better thing than to be having a stadium named for you, one you played on, and and to be able to win a national championship? What a storybook finish, Steve Spurrier. Somebody ought to write a book about him. Oh, wait a minute, I did. I forgot. All right, as long as I got you two geniuses on, give me a scenario by which Florida can win the game in Tallahassee. Lauren, you go first, then David.
Well, I think that, it's kind of do the opposite of what happened to them this Saturday. If you really look at it, Florida State ranks in the top of the ACC in both defensive and offensive categories, but Florida's been, excellent in taking the football away, and I think that's what they'll have to do on Friday. Be opportunistic with takeaways, shorten the field, and as much as I hate to say it, I think Anthony Richardson has to be special again. I mean, if you look at the last 2 or 3 games, even though he had a decent game against Vanderbilt, it wasn't necessarily the performance that anybody would write home about. And I think that at this point, that's where this offense is headed. I think if he can make plays outside the pocket, put stress on what's becoming a pretty good defensive front for Florida State, then I think the Gators could be in the ball game. But I think it's going to take, they were able to get after Jordan Travis a little bit last year. The offensive line is kind of up and down with Florida State. So if they can, pressure the quarterback, force Travis into a couple turnovers, I think they can be in the football game. And I think that's what it's going to take.
All right, so Florida's a 9.5-point underdog, David. This should kind of rectify things a bit to beat a ranked FSU team and kind of wreck their season. What is it going to take, and who do you like in this game on Saturday at Doak Campbell? Friday at Doak Campbell.
Yeah, it is weird, Friday. Lauren's right. They need to get a couple of turnovers for sure. And basically, and Anthony, we need the good Anthony to show up as opposed to the wild Anthony. And it would help if Jordan Travis came down with COVID on Thursday. That'd be a big break.
Or Friday.
Friday like that. And probably if they can find that crew that from the Lane Finner game, that might cap it off. Now, but buddy, you know what I'm talking about.
I know it very well. I argued that point a long time with a lot of friends. So yeah, I know about Lane Finner. One of the many controversial plays. The Ernest Graham twisting of the ankle, late hitting of Danny Werfel. Those are some of the more controversial ones. Well, guys, happy Thanksgiving to you both. David, thank you so much. Read David in the Gainesville Sun and other papers. I noticed the one I read today was the Pensacola News Journal. He's all over. David writes good stuff. David Whitley, appreciate it very much, my friend. And Lauren, good job. Thanks for your work at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and we'll talk to you later in the week. And don't forget, check him out in Gator Bay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Right, see you Friday.
Yeah, right. See you Friday. Thanks. All right.
See you later.
All right. So, all right, folks, that'll wrap up that portion. Now, coming up next, we've got our friends. Well, let's see. Kyle is sitting around here. Hold on a second. Let's go get Kyle. We got him for a minute. He's just getting back from. Where are you, Kyle? I did see you earlier. Lost you. Come back on again. Now, Kyle Curtis will be joining us again. We'll get him on real quick. We got David Moulton behind him. Kyle had a wonderful trip to Germany, and he'll tell you all about that. He wrote a nice piece, too. Let me just contact him to come back. And, all right. Log on again. All right. When I wiped out David and Laura and I wiped out Kyle. All right, so coming up later, we'll hear from, we'll do this. We'll go ahead and do our commercial break here and hear from our friends at Meldon Law and let you hear what Jeffrey has to say, and then we'll rejoin the other side. Well, it's Thanksgiving week. It's always a pleasure to see Jeffrey, but especially during this week, he's always so happy. And one thing about it, it's a time to celebrate. But you know what, Jeffrey? It's time to be careful on these highways when you're traveling, right?
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. It's probably the most dangerous time of the year because everybody's traveling either Wednesday or Thursday of Thanksgiving and then heading back on Saturdays and Sundays. It's crazy out there on I-75 and in our area. So either stay home or be extra careful.
It's crazy all the time, especially crazy this week. But don't put a damper on your holiday. This is my favorite holiday. I love this holiday because it has football and family and food, whatever. And what is the favorite Thanksgiving Day plate for Jeffrey Meldon?
Well, of course, turkey. And then all the other fixings that go around it. And I like a nice glass of red wine, maybe.
Okay.
And some champagne. That's something. Okay, we get together with the family and we start with a toast of bubbly.
Absolutely. I love pie. Oh man, my wife makes the best pecan pie and pumpkin pie. So I'm a glutton. That's what you're supposed to be on Thanksgiving. Then you lay around watching football, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, buddy. We just had a little Thanksgiving pre-party here at Meldon Lot at lunch today. And we had pumpkin pie on the menu.
All right. Of course you do. It's the American thing, isn't it? Well, party like Jeffrey does, but be careful out there if you're traveling Thanksgiving. If you need law help, tell them who to call just in case and what that number is, Jeffrey.
Meldon Law at 352-373-8000. And I'll tell you, there's people out there making bonehead moves, buddy. So be careful. And in case one of those boneheads hits you, give us a call.
Meldon Law, they won't back down. Thanks very much, Jeffrey. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Coming up in a minute, David Moulton will join us. We'll talk to him about a lot of things in the world of college football. The new rankings are out. We'll talk about those tonight. Nothing really shocking. Here's what's happening. It's starting now. You're going to see a flood of this. The transfer portal is opening up, and tonight it was announced Alabama's Trey Sanders, who was a 5-star in the 2019 class, 2019, is now open to the transfer portal and is committed to go elsewhere. So a 5-star running back from Alabama, I don't know how much years of eligibility he's got. I think 1. Maybe somebody can tell me. Would that be somebody Florida would be interested in? I think running backs are in good shape here, so we'll see. But so that's happening right now. In the portal, there'll be a lot of activity, and it should be. I wonder how many Florida will take. There's a lot of numbers being bandied about out there. We'll see what that turns out to be. I do think that's where the route they're going to take to get people on the field the fastest, and they need help in certain areas for sure. Who'd you like to see him go after? I go back to Sam Hartman. A lot of talk about Sam Hartman. I've seen Sam Hartman. I've seen him a few plays. Don't remember anything I saw that looked wonderful. I know he had good numbers, and he was a poised quarterback at Wake Forest. But the rumor, it's beyond rumor because a person who knows a lot about it told me today that he understood that Sam Hartman wanted Florida, and Florida wanted Sam Hartman. Now, the question is, what does that do to the quarterback rotation? And we're kind of all guessing here. We really don't know. We absolutely know for a fact that if he gets $20 million, as much as I like to romanticize the idea that Anthony would stay home, you can't turn down that kind of money. That's generational wealth, and it's set up his family forever. And I can't blame him. It would have been nice to say he could come back for one more because we know he's not ready yet. He's awfully close. But he's a special player and a nice young man, by the way. And I wanted to see him have that success at Florida, but they didn't work out that way. There are many needs. You're right, Eric. They need some linebackers, among other things. Toby C. Parmenter says Florida needs defensive linemen and transfer. You're right. And you heard Shane say it a million times. It's the front seven They've got pretty good players in the secondary, although they broke down a little bit last week against Vanderbilt. I think they need help all over in the defense, and I think they got the right guy there, and they got the right program, and I believe Billy Napier will bring that program around eventually. It's just a very costly defeat. And the more I think about it, the more I think, boy, this is just really was gut-wrenching because it deterred them from their mission, which was to get this team up. And I looked at the rankings tonight, and I saw the teams in there at the 20 to 25. I said, that's where Florida would be right now. No doubt about it, had they won the game. They blew that opportunity for reasons we talked about forever, but still, the fact is that they didn't get the job done. So transfer portals where they got to go shopping. Defense is going to be certainly going to be a priority, and we'll see what they wind up getting. Let's see what else we got here. I want to go to the rankings. You probably heard these already. I'll repeat nothing surprising, but what's interesting is what's going to happen at 5 and 6, because there's a lot of ways things could happen this weekend with games. And number one, obviously Georgia. There is a scenario by which Georgia could not make the national championship series. I don't see what it is. I heard Paul Feinbaum explain today. It's like 50 things have to happen. Ain't going to happen. Georgia's in. Win or lose. If they win, beat LSU, LSU is out, which opens up that bottom. The loser of Ohio State and Michigan's got to go somewhere. And that would mean that LSU would be out, and then the Ohio State loser. And now you got the next team in line, which is probably going to be Southern Cal. Now, we counted them as dead a long time ago, but they got a good coach, they got good players, and they got a hell of a quarterback who might win the Heisman. And all of a sudden, there's a lot at stake here late in the season. And these things could go awry here late. I guess it's what you want. But it's really hard to decipher, isn't it? It's something that we won't know until the games are played. And I guess that's what you want. You want that to be in doubt. And for the most part, the playoffs have been kind of dull at this point in time. And Georgia's made it that way. If you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, it's not dull, but certainly it's not exactly nail-biting, right? So we'll see. There's the rankings tonight. Got one more right, and then we'll figure out who's playing where. Here's the point I wanted to say about what's happening Friday night in Tallahassee. This is a game that could really salvage what Florida's got left of the season. Beating your arch rival on the road as underdog would be a really, really big deal. I don't know that Florida can do that unless it goes out there and runs the football to keep the football away from FSU. Because Florida's used this running game to sort of play its defense by keeping the ball away. Otherwise, you hate to think what would happen if they hadn't been able to do that. When they can't run the ball as they couldn't, then, it kind of messes up the whole game plan, because part of it's based on that keeping the ball away from the other side. So this game, and as I watch the game, I'll be thinking about the quarterback that could have been. I really like this kid, Anthony Richardson, as I said, and I really wanted what's better for him. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I'm probably just being selfish, right? So I have to admit, if he gets some money, he's going to go and should go. And what a great story it is for a local kid going up there and getting all that stuff. There are dream scenarios where you say, well, he could stay in his own bed and do and sleep in his own bed and be the quarterback of the Florida Gators. And that ain't bad. No, it's not. It's not bad. By the same token, it's probably not realistic. So you want to. I think I've got David Moulton on here now, I believe. Let's go see if we can check in there and see. Good evening, David. How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Didn't see you. You snuck in on me. Didn't get a ring that you're here.
I've been sitting here listening to you for
Oh,
12 minutes.
man, I just had known. I'm sitting here vamping, thinking, well, usually when you come on, I hear it, but I didn't hear you this time. I apologize.
That's all right. By the way, I'd like to wish all your viewers a happy Thanksgiving and have a great weekend with friends and family. And I know it'll be better if your Gators win Friday night, but just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that's very kind of David. The same to you and your family. And, we talk about this, I think, every year. It's my favorite holiday for a lot of reasons, and not the least of which is being home with your family, which is terrific. And I know you probably won't be, and sorry you won't. For me, being home and on the road and being able to enjoy my family and having all that good food and actually having a day off, which I rarely get, and being able to watch football and eat. I mean, heck, and it isn't like Christmas, you don't have to buy any presents. So
Right.
what could be bad about that, right?
I was going to say the only thing you have to buy is a carb.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been waiting to talk to you because there's so many things that have gone on, and I want you to help me sort through the Heisman list. I'm struggling a little bit here, and it's part of my fault because I haven't been able to see these guys play that much. I'm sorry, I don't see Drake May that often, okay? I hear great things about him. I've seen highlights of him. I don't see Caleb. I saw Caleb Williams last week. It was very impressive, no doubt about it. I'd like to be able to see a guy 4 or 5 times if I'm going to vote for him for the Heisman. And I got a scramble list of 5 or 6 people who are trying to figure it out. And yet I know a lot of it will be decided on the field this weekend.
Buddy, I think most of the Heisman contenders had a very bad weekend last weekend,
They did.
except for C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I see it as a two-man race. And obviously the Ohio State quarterback's got his showcase game coming up Saturday. And the USC quarterback's got 2 chances. 2 chances. Saturday night and then the conference championship game. And, right now I think Stroud's the favorite for what it's worth. May was gaining a lot of steam, but he didn't play well. And they got beat by a below-average team in Georgia Tech. And, get invited to New York, yes. Win it after last weekend, I don't see it happening. I'd be shocked at this point. And, buddy, we've had guys come out of nowhere with 2 weeks left and win Heismans. In early November of 2012, nobody was talking about Johnny Manziel for the Heisman. And he damn near was, unanimous. He won it so big. Tua had his name engraved on the Heisman in 2018 and had an awful SEC title game, and Kyler Murray won it in a walk. So crazy things do happen, but I really think it's the Ohio State quarterback against the USC quarterback.
I didn't see all the game. What I saw of Stroud, nothing really terribly impressed me. But again, no. I mean, I know he's a good quarterback. I'm talking. Look, here's what I mean by impressive. I want to see that Heisman moment when I see a guy. Now, that's hard to do when you don't see a guy play that often. But I want to see that play and think, wow, that was a Heisman moment. Part of that's on me.
But also the game against Michigan can provide that. I mean,
no doubt.
Remember,
no doubt.
Desmond iced his Heisman with the punt return against Ohio State. So it's the same thing here with the the USC quarterback rallied them from behind against UCLA. Now he's got Notre Dame in prime time. Then he's going to have probably a top 10 or top 12 team in a Pac-12 title game potentially. So both guys will have the shot to give you that Heisman moment.
I don't know much about Blake Corum. I just know he was on the list earlier in the year, running back from Michigan, so I don't think he'd be in that.
And if he runs for 200 yards and leads them to the upset win, then he's in play. And he came back from injury last week. Boy, did they get some help from the officials last week.
Did they? I didn't see the game.
Man.
Well, this is going to be a gigantic game. This is Ohio State, Michigan at its best, which is what it used to come down to at the end. And now Michigan's got the level playing field, and it means a lot. It's probably the game of the year in college football, wouldn't you think?
Well, and buddy, now if you had to put $20 on which conference is going to get 2 bids, I think you'd have to lean Big Ten because of everything that went down. I mean, you need LSU to beat Georgia for the SEC to get 2. Right. And right now that's not looking likely. But if you just play it out, let's see if LSU loses, which they'll be expected to lose in 2 weeks, and if USC can't finish the job, and it's going to be really tough to win these next 2 games, then all of a sudden you see where the loser of Ohio State, Michigan can just slide down and be the 4. I mean, are they going to put, now they might put a 12-1 Clemson over them. They might.
Right.
Hey, I would.
Would you? Why?
Well, because they're a conference champion, and they played one more game and had one more opportunity to lose, and they didn't. And I'll say it again. Their name is Clemson. That has weight.
It's actually Clemson.
Well,
that's how they say it. In South Carolina, Clemson. They put a P in there.
So, but right now, I don't think any conference is going to get 2. I think that if TCU finishes the job, then obviously they're going to get in, and I think Clemson will finish the job, and Clemson will get in, quite frankly.
You don't think if Georgia loses to LSU, they'd get 2 in?
Well, obviously, if that happens, yes. But the odds are that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, Georgia's going to be a double-digit favorite in that game.
Right. All right. You convinced me. You beat me down as usual. I mentioned earlier, David, that here comes the portal. I see Trey Sanders, 5-star running back for Alabama now, has gone to the portal, and there's going to be a lot of that going on. And we're hearing other stories about Sam Hartman from Wake Forest, too, that are interesting. What have you heard, David? You do a show every day.
Well, I've heard Sam Hartman's either going to be in Gainesville or the NFL, that he doesn't have any interest in playing a 6th year of college ball anywhere else but Gainesville. And which clearly, by the way, I think shows that Richardson is leaving. I mean, there is no... Sam Hartman wouldn't even consider Florida if he wasn't told it on very good authority that Richardson's leaving. I mean, let's be honest. That's how this game is played. So Richardson's done.
Yeah, I said that early tonight.
Right.
I confessed that I think it was a romantic story by me, and I wanted it to happen. But I think you're talking between 15 and 20 million. I'm not 100% sure if he goes 20th in the first round. And then you're talking about generational wealth, which you just can't make that up. And as much as I'd like to see him come back and reap the rewards and have a good year with his teammates, economically, it just doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, I have to admit, I'd never take him in the first round. Not now. I just wouldn't. Too inconsistent throwing the ball. I wouldn't take him. I just would. Not in the first round.
Well, maybe he'll come back then.
Well, obviously he's not. He's gone. I mean, he's gone. The word's out. He's gone. That's why Sam Hartman is seriously...
What word is out from who, though? There's a lot of words out there. And I haven't heard anybody of any authority that I know of, except Shane Matthews, who doesn't know that much about it, say he's gone. Now, likelihood, yeah. But I can't say, you can't say on one hand, well, he's not going to be a first rounder, but he's gone. I don't know that's the case. I haven't heard it. You have no basis of that. You can't prove it. So therefore I say, if he's not a first rounder, he might come back. He might. And I feel that's a possibility.
Well, since he has to declare 4 months before he becomes...
Yeah, but 4 months is a long time. 4 months is a long time.
Well, but once you declare, it's over.
I get it. Well, we'll see. But he'll have an idea where he's going to go before he makes that decision. And all the drafts, everybody, Logan Bill, all those guys, saw one today where he's the third quarterback taken. I'm not making this up. This is not my judgment.
No, buddy, you didn't hear me. I wouldn't take him in the first round. I understand he's likely to go in the first round. Teams are desperate to get a quarterback, and they will keep firing bullets until they hit on one, because that's all they have to do is hit on one, and they're set for 10 years. So I get it. I'm just saying I wouldn't take him. But, buddy, he's gone. He's gone. It doesn't matter where he gets drafted. He could get hurt and get drafted in the third round. He's gone. The word's out. He's gone.
Well, I think it's what I said earlier. I've come to my realization, as much as I'd like to see him come back for another year, that it doesn't make economic sense if he gets drafted in the first round, especially. So, it's generational wealth. Fine. I'm not ready to kick him out the back door and so we don't want you anymore. Like saying, let's get somebody else. This guy's a major talent. And you also had to know, and I read this the other day too, the NFL is desperately looking for guys who can run RPOs. There aren't that many quarterbacks out there who can run an RPO. And so when you got a guy that's 6'5" and 240 and to run a little bit, he can be coached. I hear what people say about Anthony. I know that he's inconsistent. He's a hell of an athlete. He's a hell of a player. If I'm a coach, I'm drooling about a chance to coach a guy like that. So I'm sorry I can't agree. All right, we agree. He's probably going to go. Whatever he gets, wish him all the best. Now, you want to pick a national champion now? You want to wait a while?
Why would we do that?
I don't know, because you have these weird abilities, these glasses you put on. You can see magically into the future. That's why. Because you anybody can pick it when you get up to the game. Picking it 2 months out is what's fun.
A national champion right now.
Give me the top 4. I'll sub for that. Is it like you happy with the 4 tonight?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. To me, there were 3 meaningful parts that if you look at, you can talk about. Right. First off, huge night for UCF. You know, I know that not a whole lot of time is spent on UCF, but, you know, UCF's trying to get in the AAC championship game.
They made it in the top 25.
And one of the tiebreakers is you go by highest ranked team in the last poll, and the fact that UCF did not drop out after that loss to Navy, I thought they should have. All right, but now that could put UCF in the AAC championship game, and obviously if they win it, they can get a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, you know, it's so big night for UCF. Number 1, number 2, Alabama ahead of Clemson. Okay, interesting. I don't think that's locked in stone. I think if Clemson wins out, they will at least leapfrog Alabama. And that Clemson needs chaos to get in, but I think Clemson will leapfrog Alabama. It's just interesting they're not ahead of them yet. And the same thing with USC is 1 slot behind LSU. I do think that's very difficult to justify for the committee. I do. All right. A Power 5 team with 1 loss versus a Power 5 team with 2 losses. I mean, USC's loss is better than, you know, you could argue as good as any of LSU's losses. I mean, LSU's 1-point loss was to Florida State. USC's 1-point loss was to Utah. Utah's ahead of Florida State, I believe, in the poll. All right. And then LSU has another loss, and it's by 30.
Utah's ahead of Florida State, I believe, in the poll.
So I'm surprised that they have LSU ahead of USC. I am. I think that's difficult to justify, a 2-loss team ahead of a 1-loss team.
Why do you think that is?
SEC bias. I do. I think at this point it's difficult to deny how the committee stacks the top 25 to try to get certain conferences to get the most teams every week. And, I mean, I understand it's a TV show and some of this is just pure BS. But I do think that for the longest time, the computer buddy had a Big 12 bias. I think the committee has an SEC bias.
Okay. Well, maybe justifiably so.
I was going to say, they've earned it. They've earned it. It's just that at this moment in time, it would be difficult for me to put LSU ahead of USC. You know, they've got them 1 spot ahead. Okay, we'll see how it plays out. But the reason I think it's significant, if USC wins out and LSU wins out, then in theory, USC is not going to leapfrog LSU.
Well, what's the best win USC has?
Probably last week.
Yeah. What's the best win LSU's got? They got several good ones, really good ones.
They got Alabama.
It's pretty good. They only lost two. And so they got Ole Miss too, right? So
I don't know how good that really
well,
is.
at the time they were. At the time they were good. You know, so ranked teams. So anyways, I think LSU's been playing great football. And I was late to come to that party. Everybody's raving about TCU and their quality wins and what they've done. And every other stat, they lead in all those categories. And it's a team that, of all places from the Big 12. And right now they're going to get in based on the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan dropping out. If they don't lose, they're going to get in.
I'll say this. I think if Kansas State wins this week, Kansas State's going to be in the Big 12 title game. And that's the last team TCU wants to face. They've already beaten Texas. Okay, I think they'd beat Texas again. But I don't think TCU is going to post 13-0 if they have to play Kansas State in the Big 12 title game. Remember last year, Baylor ruined Oklahoma State's dreams with a win in the Big 12 title game, and I think Kansas State would do the same thing to TCU this time around.
Yeah. All right, so let me ask you a baseball question or two. All right, we'll just switch gears real fast. Do you find this as ironic as I do that that Justin Verlander and Albert Pujols each won the comeback player of the year, and that Verlander won the Cy Young as a comeback player? That's really something, isn't it? How many times have you had that happen?
Not many, that's for sure. But then again, we're talking about two Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a tendency to do things that mere mortals can't. I have to admit, I don't know why I know we're only a few weeks into it, but to me, like these kids make pretty quick decisions about where they're transferring to. Everybody has a way of communicating behind the scenes, and the deals are worked out for NIL and what have you, and these moves are done in a matter of days. I don't know why it takes so long to sign free agents. I mean, honestly, it's between the Giants and the Yankees for Judge.
It's the agents. They're leveraging.
Well, but I mean, just make it here, guys. Make your offer. I'll pick which one I like. I mean, seriously.
That's not what they want. The agents want to drag it out and keep squeezing more money out. That's what they do. You know that, David. Your agent did the same thing with you. That's why you make millions, because you kept parlaying into. How's the show going, by the way?
The show is fine. The show's doing really well.
And Jacksonville for you?
It's Jacksonville's working out for me and my family.
Yeah, that's really good. That's great. First Thanksgiving in your new home, right?
Not only that, buddy, this is only the third time I've been home for Thanksgiving since
great.
1986.
Oh, that's wonderful, David. I'm so glad to hear that. That's good news for you. That'll be a nice one. And so, all right. So, what would your plate look like? By the way, here you are for being home at Thanksgiving. So, what is your plate going to look like on Thanksgiving Day?
Buddy, I am not shy. It is a boatload of turkey. It is a boatload of stuffing, and it is an obscene amount of mashed potatoes
with gravy.
And then we'll do it again.
What about cranberry?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Wow. That's not American not to have cranberry on Thanksgiving.
Little apple pie if possible.
Yeah. Well, I'm a pumpkin pie guy, and sweet potato down south is the great pie. It's a pie that tastes like pumpkin pie, but Southerners know it as a delicacy. Pecan and sweet potato pie, or a must at the Martin House staple. And now my wife's got my great niece making them. Taught her. So my mother taught her, and she just passed it down. So it's funny how much we're tied up in our food. How much our parents and our homes, our life, are tied to a certain kind. When you see a Thanksgiving plate, do you see dressing on it? You don't see any cranberry. You like the white meat, or you like the dark meat? You like mashed potatoes, but not dressing. What all's on your plate? You told us some.
No, pretty much what I told you is what's on my plate. I mean, maybe a vegetable will make it on there, maybe. But no, I'm into carbs and starches, baby.
You like the double helping of mashed potatoes. That's what you like, don't you?
I'm an Irish Catholic, buddy. Yeah. There is no such thing as enough potatoes.
Listen, my mother's name was O'Quinn. I know about Irish Catholics, our Irish Protestants, and I can tell you potatoes is a big part of it. Well, it sounds wonderful. Any particular game? The NFL game is always the one on Thanksgiving Day. What will be your favorite? No,
I've got a few games. First off, can Iowa win the Big Ten West, or will Nebraska finally get a marquee win to salvage a season in some way, shape, or form? They're like 1-13 in their last 14 games, decided by one score.
Wow.
So I'm curious about that. But believe it or not, buddy, my favorite game of the weekend is not Ohio State, Michigan. My favorite game of the weekend is Florida State.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
All right, that is my favorite game of the weekend. Yeah. Gators need a win to salvage their season. And the Noles, who have played their best football in 7 years, it means nothing if they don't beat the Gators.
Well, how does this set up, and what are the Gators' chances?
The Gators' defense is going to face one of their stiffest tests of the year.
Without Miller the first half.
And so they are going to have to play their best game. Florida State's got their key guys healthy. Florida State in the last month, granted, against not the best competition, but they had all their key players banged up when they faced their really difficult stretch in October, and they lost all those one-score games. Then they got all their guys healthy for when they faced teams who maybe were going through some tough times. But Florida State right now is playing like a top 15 team in the country. Florida State right now is better than Florida. So Florida has to play their A game.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was drawing it up for Florida, I'd want to just get a first half lead. You know, the pressure's actually on Florida State. And if I'm the Gators, I want to apply just a little bit more. Would love to send them to the locker room trailing by 3, 4, 6 points and have that feeling of, oh man, we're losing. You know, we're not supposed to be losing. You know, if you're Florida, I think you have to do that. But Florida State's, buddy, I'm very concerned about the first quarter for the Gators.
Mm-hmm.
I really am, especially defensively, because Florida State offensively right now is on a roll.
I'm with you, and I think really with Ventrell Miller listening to the first half, he, of course, is a one-man wrecking crew and the guy leading tackler by far, has probably saved 4 or 5 touchdowns by himself this year in tackles, that they're going to be in trouble unless they can run the ball and keep the ball away. When they're running the ball, they're playing defense too. They got to not let Florida State get out ahead. You're right. They got to get an early lead. They got to get offense to play defense and wait on Miller to come back the second half and see if they can win the shootout.
I don't think Florida State defensively will let Richardson and the Gators beat them running the ball. But Florida State does have a weakness in the secondary. Can Richardson and the Gators take advantage of it? They've had moments this year where they've had a really good passing game. They made a bunch of big plays against Tennessee. They actually made a bunch of big plays against Vandy. They just made way too many mistakes. All right. I think, buddy, if Florida's going to win this game, they're actually going to win it throwing the ball, because that is where Florida State, I think, is a little vulnerable. I don't think they're vulnerable against the run.
I'd feel better about it if they didn't have so many receivers hurt. That's they lost all. They playing with second, third string receivers, and those guys played good, by the way, against Vandy. But Ricky Pearsall's got to be in the lineup. Them to have it. Shorter's got to get on the field more and play. You know, they got to get really good play out of those other guys. They had some really good young guys that played well, showed up and played well. But they're going to have to get. AR can't be throwing errant footballs all over the field. So it'll be interesting. David, you have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your time home. Great talking to you, and let's do this again next week on our usual night, right?
It'll be my pleasure, and once again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and buddy, be safe.
I just want to say, by the way, David Moulton brought to you by Titan MRI. Titan MRI is worth a short drive to Gainesville, no insurance, no problem. You can pay with cash or card, same-day scheduling. You can start feeling better today because Titan MRI is North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of patients are visiting our Gainesville location from Ocala, Marion County, and the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. Thanks, David Moulton. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You as well, buddy.
All right, my friend. All right, the great David Moulton. Always glad to have David on. He brings a lot to the show, and we've been doing this a little while. Gosh, heck, David and I have been doing this for like 3 years or so now, so good to have him on. I'll say good night to all you folks. I tell you, by the way, too, that I want to thank our friends at Renstar Medical Research. I always like to point that out. They've been such great supporters of ours, and they are great citizens of our community, stakeholders. We appreciate all that they do. Renstar Medical Research is, of course, a premier medical high-quality, patient-centered research facility that bring cutting-edge technology to clinical trials here. They've been doing these clinical trials a long time. In fact, since 1998 at least, Renstar has been doing them. The work they do is known worldwide almost. They look for better treatments for things like Alzheimer's and psoriasis and osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, along with many other conditions that affect our communities right here. So if you'd like to take part in some of these trials, go to rinstart.net, look it up. They have a form you can fill out and you can join and take part, and you can get time and travel paid for and be a part of these wonderful clinical trials. The Rinstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thanks also to our friends over at Main Street Community Bank. My bank, I love going over there. They're friendly people. That's what their main staple is the people. Independent, FDIC insured, locally operated, full service bank offering a broad range of financial services. What makes Main Street different and so special is the people. Main Street Community Bank of Ocala, community is our middle name, sponsor of the Orange and Blue Room on the Buddy Martin Show. Thanks, folks. Have a good night. Back tomorrow night with Ben Troop and Franz Beard and the team. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching.